Welcome again. I was talking what will happen when you will send more than not three literature re- reviews, basically. Uh, when you send, well, in order to get 10 points from extra literature reviews, basically you need to be sent 13 literature reviews in total. And get from all of them 100, of course, because these ones will be obviously the uh, ones with lower grades. So you need to do all of them good to get 10 from here. But in order to get 60, if you make 13 literature reviews, you need only have from 300, and from the remaining ones, even if you have zero, you will still get 60. You will just not get, if you have zero, exactly zero, you won't get this. If you get from each of them one, remaining 10, each of them one, in that case, you will get just one extra point. You will still get an extra point in that case. Um, so, uh, in literature review, basically, you should not just, uh, well, rewrite a short version of article by following the article topic by paragraph by paragraph. You should rather ask yourself what is the topic of the article, what is the viewpoint, and express them. And then you should ask yourself how the article in general is actually making its point. What are the methods? What is the strategy of it? How does it back up its main point? Which can be, I mean, in some case, as a backup, you might have certain paragraphs or certain, uh, I mean, uh, for example, it might review other writings, and those writings, the review of those writings can back up the argument in some cases. In some cases, that backup might be actual data. In some cases, surveys, analysis of surveys, for example. So there can be different ways of backup, and you should also be able to write those backups as short as necessary. But if you want, and if the space allows, also longer. And doing that, actually, you can easily write a review of a article, which is in some cases 50 page long, if necessary, in one paragraph, necessarily longer, 1, 2 pages. But since you need to write review of different articles, you also need to compare and contrast them, write how they are related. Is one of them giving example? The other one is building up the theory. The first one is talking about is are they opposing each other in terms of the idea? So you should compare them, and you should also write how these articles are relevant to feminist economics or economics in general, or important, I mean, recent economic issues, basically, or social issues. Now, exams. There will be 2 exams, and since this is let me briefly pause and replay the video. I have paused and replayed. This is the course page of the last semester. I mean, last spring semester, since I don't teach this course in the fall. And as you can see, there is a midterm and final. Each of them contain 7 questions, and the article related to those each of the questions will be certain, basically. Um, and what you need to do is actually you need to you will have 24 hours to choose 2 of those 7 questions and write 2 3 page long essay on them. Usually, the the I mean, when you write those essays, I mean, first you should be careful. I mean, the questions themselves might actually, let me show them again. They have several other questions. Basically, your essay should not just be based on separate unconnected answers to each of those questions. Actually, those questions are giving you kind of an outline of an essay, and you should use them to write an essay with a coherent, connected essay, basically. And what I try to do by asking those questions is also I try to make sure in each question there is at least a part where you recall the information you have learned, but that's also an analysis part actually, what I call analysis part. You should be able to summarize and basically be able to extract the essential parts of the information that is told in the or that's provided in the article in this case, or in the course in more general sense. Then you need to evaluate that information. That means basically you should be able to talk on what that information means, what can be inferred from this information. And then you should be able to discuss the information. I mean, you should be able to express your ideas. I mean, how, based on what this information provides us, what are the broader implications of this, where this can lead, what kind of future research can be done, what can be the future questions that can be asked, or in what way we can use this information to what we can infer to answer the existing questions, or what do they say on existing theories or on practical issues we are facing. So that's the discussion part. So ideally, I try to make at least one question. I try to have at least one question for each of these. Basically parts of an essay. In some cases, the questions on one part might be a little bit more extensive than the other. And evaluation, sometimes it can be, I mean, sometimes the line between evaluation and discussion and evaluation and information might be, or analysis, what I say analysis is, can be not so clear. You can look, there is a document called Advices on Writing a Good Essay in the course page. You can look to that also, which is tips for writing, basically. Okay, this is for the exams. Now, instead of, you can write a course paper in this course, and if you write both course paper and get into 2 exams, in that case you'll get 2 highs out of 3 grade, which means you might just write 1 exam and 1 course paper, which will be good, basically. There is basically this semester's course page. I have already uploaded guideline for course paper. Also, you can have in tips of writings, there are certain tips specifically for the course paper. A course paper is basically a systematic analysis of a subject. So there, actually, the part where you make analysis should be clear. If necessary, it can even contain 2 parts if there are 2 different analysis of 2 different data is there. Evaluation and discussion might also have 2 parts. If specifically you are evaluating, your evaluation based on 2 distinct segments, and so it should be a systematic analysis and answer of a question. The course paper is doing that basically. In this course paper, actually, you might just look and analyze the literature, and that's also by its own right. It can be a paper, research paper also. There are research papers like that. But you might also have some preliminary data analysis. That's also okay. If you want, you can also have econometric analysis, but it's also okay to have just the basic analysis of data using basic tools like Excel. This is also okay. Basically, I did not write a specific topic, but rather different approaches you can use to create those topics. And you need to basically write 4 different courseworks, preliminary literature report, a report on relevant data and the topic. That's 10 points. You should provide 6 separate sources, and you should write what are they, what all these sources, I mean, they can be articles or data, are about, and why you think they are useful. You should write outline of the paper, which should be, you might put, where you should put the number of chapters, basically. But you should also write briefly what will be covered in each of those chapters. If for some reason you think you don't need chapters, then you should write why you don't need chapters for your research paper. Then you should have a draft of the paper. Draft is basically a publishable version of the paper, but it's the first copy. So once you get this first copy, so it should have all chapters, all structure of a publishable paper. But of course, in order to be published, you should review it and basically improve it after you got this first version. In literature, sometimes they're called beta versions and then alpha versions. Even you can review it twice, basically. And then you have final form of the course paper. Draft will be graded more roughly. I mean, because I assume, I mean, you are able to correct the problems there, so it is graded less strictly. But I won't grade. I won't look for the literature. I mean, for plagiarism in the draft. So you should be careful in the final form. You should make sure that there is no plagiarism. That one I just check for the final form of the course paper. So these are the weeks for the deadlines of each assignment. I mean, preliminary literature survey 6th week, outline 9th week, draft last week of the lectures, paper final version, end of the week of finals. So you will have around a week to go over your paper. Certain mistakes, choosing a topic that is irrelevant. I mean, it's not okay if you choose just any topic. Your topic should be connected to gender economics. Writing the paper as if it's an essay. In essays, I mean the connections analysis part and analysis evaluation, they should not be separate and structured way. That means also the justifications should, I mean while you should still back up your argument, that backup should not be very strong. I mean, in the paper, the backup should be strong, and the way you use backup should also be clear, basically, more clear. And referencing, you should be careful with the referencing, basically. These are 3 things from which people are losing points. So discussions. Well, each week, except the first one, I am opening a topic related to the subject we have covered for discussion. I will talk more on the discussions in the next parts.